once again. Hello. Saturday evening here in the UK. It's a little bit chilly. It's not quite as cold as it was yesterday, but I'm just glad the rain stopped. It just rained every single day for the last, I don't know how many weeks. So I'm glad that we've got a few days away from the rain. Okay, so this is part 4. Yeah, part 4 of the little mini series that I'm doing, going through the UK College of Policing's independent report on Lancashire Constabulary's handling of the Nicola Bulley investigation. So we finished. I thought I was going to get through the whole of chapter 1. Or is it chapter 2? No, we're still on chapter 1. Although we have done chapter 5. We've done the whole of chapter 5. So that was out of order because people wanted me to do Peter Falding. So yeah. So we're not like right at the beginning still. But chapter 1 is long. So we've got a little section on the inquest to finish, and then the family liaison people, so stuff about the family, and then we'll go on to chapter 2, which is about the leadership. So we'll see how far we get today. But first, let's see who's in the house. Holly, hello. Friendly Frog, Laura Croft, hello. Terry and Mel, beautiful morning in British Columbia, Canada. Fab. Debbie, Jean, hello. Freezing cold there where Jean is as well. Oh, Debbie, 27 degrees, 8:30 this morning. What's that about? -2, -3, maybe. It was -1 here last night, which is, I think, it's about 30. So it's just over freezing at the moment. RZ, hello. Jackie. Oh yeah, there's a heat wave going on in this chat right now. There really is. Oh, Cindy's in New Zealand. I bet it's warmer there. Maybe a little bit. It'll be your summer over there, won't it? Spring, summer. Hello, Dawn. CW from wintry Warrington. It's frosty and 2 degrees. Yeah, it's maybe about 2 here. Maybe 2 or 3. Shaza, Diane. So we've got Purple AJ, Owen Flo, Jojo, Jim, aka Womba, or Womble. Someone else called Joe as well. Jennifer, Angie Baby, Rexy. Who else? Farm Girl, Stella. Lisa, Paper Chaser, Birdhouse Lady from Idaho, and Bible Believing Christian. 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's about freezing, isn't it? All right. Okay, without further ado, let's get doing. Actually, I've got a question. For those of you who are members over on Michelle After Dark, I fancy doing a members live on JFK. Would anybody be interested in that? If you're a member on Michelle After Dark, I'm going to do a members live on JFK. But I won't do it if people go, I don't want to do JFK. JFK is boring. The only reason I'm asking is this afternoon I've been watching a bunch of JFK videos because it's the 60th anniversary of his death, just a few days ago. There's a bunch of JFK stuff come up in my suggested videos. News Nation did a JFK special. So I started off with that, and then I got suggested a bunch of videos. I got suggested one, which was very entertaining. It's got 10 million views. This video of a man shooting heads, like anatomically kind of heads that are used for shooting, like human heads, not actual human heads, models, but the way and they behave like human heads. Yeah, he was shooting them to see what the bullet looked like. So with the same rifle that Oswald had. So yeah, and he was shooting and shooting, and he's going, I know this video's demonetized, and I bet you any money it was, and it got 10 million views. No way. No way. So got a few people interested. That's good. If you're on the replay crew and you're a member of Michelle After Dark, let me know. I want to do JFK. Now, how the members' lives work is when they're live, anybody can see them. So you don't have to be a member to view it live. But you do have to be a member to chat. And then once the live ends, then I put it in members only. So only members can watch the replay. So if you're not a member, you have to catch it live or you're never going to see it. It's as simple as that. But I've got his autopsy report and I've got some autopsy photos. Yeah, so I think it would be a good one to do, given it's the 60-year mark. Okay, without further ado, let's get into this. So this only has a little section, just a few paragraphs on the inquest. If you want to know much more about the inquest, then I did 4 videos, 4 live streams as the inquest was ongoing. So it was a 2-day inquest. So I did like morning session, afternoon session, and then day 2, morning and afternoon session. I couldn't attend the inquest. I wanted to attend. However, I only found out a few days beforehand that you had to get tickets, and the tickets had all like gone by the time I realized. So I couldn't attend. I just assumed that you could just rock up, given that inquests are public hearings. I just assumed you could rock up, and they were holding it at the town hall in Preston, which is quite big. Like the town hall, I remember years ago when I was into politics, I used to go to the count when it was like elections, and there's like this big hall where the count was always held. So I don't know what. Anyway. So, and then I tried to get the like the transcript of proceedings and all the stuff that was sent to the inquest. But I got this, I emailed the coroner's office. Then I got this woman email me back from Lancashire County Council with all of this nonsense about how she can't do it. And then she sent me somewhere else and she gave me this email, but it was the email that I'd emailed. So I couldn't be bothered. I just literally couldn't be bothered. I could probably get some stuff from the police, but at this stage, do I really care that much? Do you know what I mean? I mean, I care about the case, but what more could I get from that information? You know, what would they actually send me, I guess, is the question. So I was just infuriated. And I'd not even given it a second thought. I just thought, she's just going to send me around in a circle here. And anyway, so that was that. All right, inquest. The high standard of investigation and search effort provided compelling evidence to the coroner about Nicola's precise movements on 27th of January. Of course, that was this year. And the conditions of the river and riverbank. The combined analysis of key witness statements and CCTV evidence demonstrated the absence of suspicious activity at the location, with no evidence of any third party being present. Analysis of mobile phone data and Nicola's Fitbit activity tracker provided strong evidence to the coroner that Nicola's last interaction with her phone occurred at 9:18, with a spike in her recorded heart rate at 9:22. So it's likely that Nicola fell in the river at 9:22. The investigation evidence had been reviewed and there was no evidence of any suspicious activity on the 27th of January or evidence of any third-party intervention. The evidence record and analysis through the investigation was extensive and is assessed as correct and compelling. At the inquest, the findings by Home Office pathologist Dr. Alison Armour, so she's the one who did the autopsy, was that the cause of death was drowning. She stated there was no evidence to support the view that Nicola Bulley had been assaulted prior to her body entering the water. From the post-mortem findings, it's clear that Nicola was alive when she entered the water and drowned as a result. The resulting conclusion by the coroner, Dr. James Adley, having assessed all the evidence presented, was as follows. On the 27th of January, Nicola Jane Bulley fell into the River Wyre close to St Michael's and died almost immediately. I conclude that Nicola Jane Bulley died an accidental death. So the manner was accidental death. The cause of death was drowning. So that's all they say about the inquest. But like I said, I went through, like there was like reporters in the court doing live updates. So I was reading out the updates as they came in. So yeah, go and check those out. So they're in the playlist. Let me just get it up. They're in the playlist immediately before these videos. So those were the last 4 videos that I did. Inquest cause of death, inquest Fitbit and Scream, inquest medics and family give evidence, inquest manner of death revealed. So those 4 videos are the ones. Okay. All right. So let's move on now to the family and the family liaison people. Okay. So I'm expecting there to be some criticisms here. But anyway, let's wait and see. So the College of Policing's investigation APP sets out the procedures in relation to the deployment and use of family liaison support and structures. The guidance states that family liaison officer can be used across the broad spectrum of investigations, including murder and manslaughter, fatal road traffic collisions, mass fatality incidents, rail facilities, critical incidents where family liaison might enhance the effectiveness of the police response. So I do know from my own experiences when my son was killed that anybody, any family who wants a family liaison officer or officers, I got 2, where they've got a family member who's died as a result of criminal activity, like any criminal activity. So murder, manslaughter, fatal road traffic collisions where there's a criminal element to it, I guess. Mass fatality incidents, that would be like terrorism and things like that. Rail fatalities. You're not going to get a rail fatality. Huh. I had a family member who suicided himself on the railways and we didn't get a family liaison officer for that. Okay. All right. Okay, but they were fantastic. I said in the live the other day, they were brilliant. Shout out to Graham and Steve. They were great. They saw us all the way through from day one. Graham went with me to identify the body, just everything, the press release, all the way up to going to court and the sentencing. It was just seamless, absolutely seamless. So I do know that Lancashire Constabulary's family liaison support work, they are very, very good. And the family liaison officers, they are police officers, they're detectives who were on the case, but they just have special training in family liaison support. So like they're in the case, they're like involved in the case. And, you know, they just say, you know, I'll answer any question, but if it's, you know, pertinent to the investigation, you do know at this stage I can't answer. But I promise I'll answer all your questions at the end. You know, and it was brilliant. It was really good. Okay, but I understand that not everybody has that perfect experience. So, okay. So the APP states that the deployment of a flow is determined by a police investigation, not because a crime has been definitively determined. Oh, I didn't know that, you see. I didn't know that, you see. I thought it was if a death has got a criminal element. Interesting. The APP takes into consideration the MPCC's practice advice, family liaison officers' deployment to reports of missing persons. This guidance advises against routinely deploying in cases of missing persons, but does advise the Department of Family Liaison Officers where the missing person investigation is a critical incident and there is a significant issue about the confidence of the family and our community. So the other day I did say that I don't think that any police constabulary in the UK could support every single family who's got a missing person. There are so many missing people. There are thousands of people who go missing every year, hundreds of thousands even. And the police just could not support that level of liaison support. But what they're arguing is that if it's a critical incident where there's a particular issue with that, that family, then they should be employed. Okay. So on Sunday, 28th of January, the on-call investigating officer with oversight from the on-call senior investigating officer did not undertake a formal deployment of a family liaison officer or single point of contact to support the family during this time. The view of the on-call SIO was that this was a missing from home investigation and did not meet the APP criteria for a formal flow deployment and would not be standard practice for a high-risk missing from home investigation. Okay, so that can't be right. Sunday was the 29th because the Friday was the 27th. So are we saying it was the Saturday the 28th or are we saying Sunday the 29th? I don't know what we're saying, but during that first weekend, anyway, the senior investigating officer didn't deem it a case that needed family liaison support. The incident was not declared a critical incident, but was felt to be a relatively standard, if unusual, missing person investigation. During this first weekend, the on-call investigating officer stated that there was no media presence at the scene, but that members of the community were present and searching for Nicola. When the new SIO was appointed on the morning of the 30th of January, so that was the Monday, okay, so we got the date right there, media interest in the case had grown significantly. Due to the increased media coverage, the incident had reached the attention of the Family Liaison Force strategy lead, who told the review that by the morning of the 30th, they felt it may have been a critical incident. The FSL, what's FSL? Oh, Force Strategic Lead, Family Liaison Force Strategic Lead, held a conversation on this date with the NCA, National Crime Agency, National Family Liaison Advisor, who said that, having been aware of the extensive media coverage, they felt it did fit the criteria of a critical incident, requiring a formal family liaison officer deployment and strategy. So by the Monday, they determined that this family did need family liaison support. Okay. The National Family Liaison Advisor believed, in the wake of other high-profile investigations attracting widespread media attention and public interest, that it was proportionate to deploy family liaison officers and that the media intrusion and scrutiny made it suitable. Okay, so the family liaison support person contacted the senior investigating officer and invited them to a formal deployment of a family liaison officer, to consider a formal deployment. and a discussion ensued. Despite the views of the family liaison person and the National Family Liaison Advisor, the senior investigating officer declined to formally deploy a family liaison officer. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. Oh, that's bad. Rebecca, that's bad. That's bad. On the 30th of January, the senior investigating officer recorded a decision regarding family support stating that a Spock is to be identified. Spock. I can't be doing with all these acronyms. Is to be identified to provide a means of direct contact with the family. In their rationale behind the decision, the senior investigating officer considered whether a trained family liaison officer should be deployed, but was satisfied at the time that it was not necessary. So that's the beginning of the issues. That's the beginning of the issues of the conflict between the family and the media and the police. At this stage, the senior investigating officer believed that an officer with knowledge of the investigation and the skills of a family liaison officer would be adequate. Okay, so, right, okay. So someone who's involved in the investigation, who's got the skills of a family liaison officer, well, why not just deploy a family liaison officer? I don't get it. What? So what's the difference between a family liaison officer and a Spock? Where does it tell me what a Spock is? Oh, single point of contact. Because one of the things that family liaison officers do is they're your point of contact. So they're the person that rings you if there's an update on the case. They're the person that you get the mobile number of and that you can call them anytime. If they're off duty, then you ring the other one. I got two. So if Graham was off duty, there was Steve. If Steve was off duty, there was Graham. So there was always somebody that I could call if I wanted to. Now, I'm not needy, so I didn't ring them. Like, I just said, ring me when there's an update. I think I rang Graham maybe once or maybe twice with findings because I was doing a parallel investigation. But that's just me. I think I rang him a couple of times with findings, which he was pleased about, because one of the findings he didn't know. There you go. Anyway, where was I? So a single point of contact. So the senior investigating officer said, yes, this family should have a single point of contact, but not a family liaison officer. I don't get it. I don't get it. If they've got the skills of a family liaison officer, well, why not just call them the family liaison officer? Like, give them that. I don't get it. Anyway. All right. The SIO documented that they had discussed this with the FSL, so the family liaison support person, and recorded that the decision would be renewed as the investigation progressed. In the first week, Nicola's family asked about media engagement and were advised by the Spock, single point of contact, that support from the press office of Lancashire Constabulary's media and engagement team was available to them. However, no contact appears to have been made until later in the investigation. The family complained of being inundated with contact from some elements of the media and wanted it to end. I'm not surprised. Mr. Ansell and Nicola's family understandably felt that liaison with the media would provide publicity and would improve the chances of finding Nicola. This became challenging for the Spock, seeking to secure joint police and family engagement and appeals. This is a major flaw. This is a big hiccup. This is a big mistake by the police. This is a big mistake by the police. The Spock is the single point of contact. So the family liaison officer, if they'd deployed one at the time, would have been that single point of contact. But instead, the senior investigating officer just gave them the name of someone on the investigation to be the single point of contact, but they weren't a family liaison officer. And they said, well, the media engagement team are available to you. But the thing is, deploying a family liaison officer, not only are they on the case, not only are they there to support and to provide updates, they're also there to help you deal with the media. My family liaison officer helped us write the press statement with the very sensible the very sensible suggestion that if you don't put a press statement out, the media gets wind of it anyway, and then they make their own stories up. So it's better to put a press statement out like as soon as possible so that you don't get inundated by the media. So if they'd have put a press statement out like on that Monday, it would have helped the family not be so inundated, because the press would have something to work with. So I find that bad. I do. Recognising the vastly increasing media and social media attention in the case, the SIO reviewed the decision about family liaison on the 3rd of February, 7 days after the investigation commenced. They recorded a further policy decision to oversee the deployment of a family liaison officer and produce a family liaison strategy. So it took a week for them to realise that they needed a family liaison officer. But a lot of damage had already been done at that point. A lot of damage had already been done. Rationale for this decision was recorded as being due to the scale of the media attention the investigation was now attracting to support the family and secure their trust and confidence. So the police now started, in my opinion, to cover their own backs. They realised that the family were probably not trusting the police as well as they should have been, and were going to go rogue, potentially. The formulation of the strategy was given to an appointed family liaison something to be overseen. What's the FLC? I'm sure that should be family liaison officer, to be overseen by the family liaison lead. The role of the single point of contact was changed to that of a family liaison officer. Oh my God. A further officer was deployed who had completed the appropriate training, providing 2 family liaison officers as a support. Well, yes, I had 2. By increasing the family liaison officer's resourcing and structure in this way, the senior investigating officer was able to provide better levels of support to and management of the family. The strategy was to incorporate, amongst other objectives, the number of family liaison officers to be deployed and the information for the family and media. On the 7th of February, so this is the following Tuesday now, family liaison constable. No, I don't think it is. FLC, does it tell me? I think it should be family liaison officer. Oh, there's too many acronyms. I don't care. All right, where were we? On the 7th of February, so Nicola's now been missing for, well, Friday the 27th. That's for a week, and then, so going on 2 weeks. Further contact was made with the senior investigating officer with the family liaison lead person. where the SIO expressed concerns regarding the challenges being experienced by the family liaison officers in relation to the family's engagement with the media. So the family liaison officers are struggling with the family and their engagement with the media. Well, you could have nipped a bunch of problems in the bud. I don't know. I'm just saying. The senior investigating officer asked the family liaison lead to provide additional review and oversight to the family liaison support. The family liaison lead reviewed the family liaison strategy and the family liaison officer log documentation. Minor deviations from national policy were identified through the use of redundant forms and daybooks as opposed to nationally recognised documents. It was determined that the family liaison strategy required significantly more detail. Okay, so the family liaison lead person worked in partnership with the National Crime Agency, National Family Liaison Advisor, and produced a more comprehensive risk assessment document. Oh, whenever you mention risk assessment, it's always a covering your arse document. I'm sorry, it just is, in my opinion. All right. This incorporated, for example, the family dynamics and an antemortem preceding death section. The family liaison lead described the family liaison situation as being chaotic and hectic at times, given the challenges that the family liaison officers were experiencing around family engagement and the media. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. The National Crime Agency, National Family Liaison Advisor, held several discussions at this time with the family lead regarding the family's interaction with the media. 10 days into the investigation, it was recognised that this was now hard to regain control. Yeah. You see, we had Peter Folding, right? So go and listen to the Peter Folding episode. But on the 5th, Emma, I think it was Emma, a family friend anyway, contacted Peter. The Lancashire Constabulary didn't want SGI and Peter, but then changed their mind because they realised that this was going to be an issue with the family and it was all going to kick off. So Peter arrives on the 6th. On the 7th, he's still continuing to do media, even though he had an NDA that he now denies that he had. And then on the 8th, he did that photo opportunity with Paul at the side of the river and then flounced. And then has since come back saying that he found Nicola's dead body in 6 minutes, which of course he didn't. Go and watch that episode if you doubt me, because there are videos out there getting lots and lots and lots of views, talking about Peter Folding. And I haven't watched any of them, but I bet you any money the reason why they're getting the views is because they're supporting Peter Folding. He's, in my opinion, some people might call him a charlatan, just in my opinion. Some people might call him that. Not that I'm calling him that some people might call him that. Anyhow, the overriding advice of the National Family Liaison Advisor was that any releases of information into the media should be with the prior notice and ideally consent of the family, whilst recognising that the wishes of the family must also be balanced with the needs of the investigation and the senior investigating officer. Right. And then on the Friday, so that would have been the, 8th, 9th, 10th maybe, Paul went on Channel 5 and as part of the Missing series and said she's not in the river. So, I don't know. Just a complete messed up. As part of Lancashire Constabulary's effort to engage peer guidance and support, In relation to family liaison, the National Crime Agency peer review document provides a section titled Observations from the National Family Liaison Advisor. This section emphasised the importance of identifying which family member would become the single point of contact for the investigative progress updates. It's also advised that an assessment and full understanding of the role of Nicola's family friend, who acted as a community spokesperson, as well as the nature of updates to this family friend, given their relationship and engagement with the media. Okay. Conclusions to this section. Thank you, Angie baby. He is a knob. He is a knob. All right. Conclusions of this section. The decision not to declare this a critical incident is likely to have influenced decisions about deployment of family liaison officers. This led to family liaison officer support being deployed too late, 7 days after Nicola's disappearance. Without the family liaison officer structure in place, it was more difficult for Lancashire Constabulary to provide guidance to the family regarding the media at a time when the media and public scrutiny was increasing. The family liaison structure would have also triggered associated victim support opportunities. Earlier focus on implementing a family liaison structure is likely to have reduced the challenges experienced. Yes, for everybody. For everybody. As the extent and intensity of media attention grew, and with the family receiving media handling advice from different sources, Peter Faulding, it became increasingly challenging for the family liaison officers to operate. This contributed to Lancashire Constabulary's inability to retain or regain control of the media narrative, which they lost very early on. Very early on. Use of nationally agreed templates and documents might have assisted those with oversight of the family liaison officers' engagement and activity. Forces would benefit from this aspect by confirming that the current arrangements are in line with nationally recognised guidance. So the NPCC lead for family liaison should consider a communication to all forces to remind them of the importance of adherence to nationally agreed templates and recording documents. Okay, so family liaison officers and the media. It continues. I think you're right, CW. The family must have been really confused. You've got Peter Faulding, this expert, going on every media outlet that would have him, telling everybody that he was an expert and that he knew she wasn't in the river, even though he now has backtracked and said he found her in 6 minutes. Well, what is she, Schrodinger's cat? She's simultaneously in the river and not in the river. What is she? Ridiculous, Peter. Peter! Ridiculous, man, in my opinion. All right. Family liaison officers and the media. On the 10th of February, the SIO increased the number of family liaison officers from 2 to 4 in order to meet the increasing demands and challenges of the investigation. To further aid the family liaison support, the SIO visited the family to explain the police approach to media engagement. There was also a collective agreement among the SIO and the family liaison lead person and the head of the media and engagement team that a direct approach should be made by the head of the media engagement team to meet with Mr. Ansell and Nicola's family friend, who acted as a community spokesperson. The purpose was to encourage a joint approach to media engagement between the family and the police, and to secure better factual influence of the narrative to the media. It was too late. They listened to Peter and said, she's not in the river. On the 10th of February, the head of the media and engagement team conducted a meeting with Nicola's family friend, Mr. Ansell, was unable to attend. Yeah, because he was believing Peter. He was believing Peter. Yes, the family friend was Emma. Yeah. Okay. The family liaison officers deployed to the Bulley family experienced significant challenges related to the media handling issues generated by the investigation. On a number of occasions, they were placed in the position of seeking views from the family on media issues, advising them around their media engagement, and facilitating the drafting of a family media statement. That should have been done right away. Right away. Right away. Oh, Cindy, off to feed the animals. Yeah. Mine have all been fed. Although the cat will just continue to eat and eat and eat if I let her. But even she's quiet at the moment. Okay. That should have been done right away. Statement to the media right away. All of the family liaison officers deployed during the investigation were consulted as part of this review, and none of them had received any training in this media handling aspect of their role. No way! No way! That's outrageous. Lancashire Constabulary, what has become of you? No way. That's one of the roles of the family liaison officer, is to, at the very least, help you with your press statement, or statements if you need more than one. No way. That's bad. Either I was really lucky in who I got, and they just went above and beyond, or I don't know. I don't know what to say. That's bad. That is bad. A number of the most challenging moments in the investigation involved either family media statements or police media lines that the family were not content with. These included the family media statement on the 20th of February, which is detailed later, and the controversy relating to the release by police of sensitive personal information about Nicola on the 15th of February. That's got its whole, it's got its own chapter. That's chapter 4, I think. On both of these occasions, the family liaison officers were asked to fulfill a role for which they had not been trained and did not have previous relevant experience in such a high-profile case. Wow, that is so bad. Would they not have thought, right, they've got 4 family liaison officers now with this family. That's a considerable resource, okay? They've got 4 family liaison officers working with this family, and they're now saying that they didn't have media training. Well, did they not speak up at the time? Surely some family liaison officers who were available had media training. Oh, crikey. That's bad. I mean, what are they doing? Are these family liaison officers just like covering their backs? Did they actually have media training and they're just covering their backs and saying that they didn't? Or what? What's going on here? This is bad. There was a critical need for someone with relevant media training and experience to assist in the family media handling role. Yes. If at least one of the 4 had media training, or give them media training. If no media trained family liaison officers were available at the time, then train the ones that were working with the family. At least give them the nuts and bolts, the things that they most need. How to prepare a press statement might be a good one. Come on. Come on, that's bad. The media and engagement team were drawn in to help on occasion, but were not close enough to the family to provide the assistance that was needed. This would have likely helped Lancashire Constabulary to better manage the broadcast interviews that the family gave, which instead were managed by the family friend. Yeah. Yeah, it was Emma apparently that set up the Channel 5 thing. Oh, it is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's so bad. Like, you have this like really good structure in theory that should be seamless. That in just the most high profile case that Lancashire Constabulary is probably ever had. At least in my lifetime, I can't think of a case that has had so much media, and they weren't able to find one family liaison officer that had media training, given that the major issue with this investigation from very early on was media. Oh man, this is bad. So the family liaison officers, family lead and FLC, whatever that is, I don't even know. So it's obviously not a typo. Anyway, whatever it was, all demonstrated a high level of care, professionalism, and dedication to the investigation and support to Nicola's family. They work extensive hours and provided a high level of accessible contact to the family off duty. All 4 family liaison officers were trained, accredited, and relatively experienced in family liaison roles. Each officer had strongly emphasized the unprecedented nature of this investigation and the challenges experienced, in particular relating to the media and social media. The family liaison officers praised the leadership, accessibility, and support provided both by the senior investigating officer and the family liaison lead during these deployments. They fully recognized the value of this high level of engagement and support for their roles. Maybe they just felt they needed to say that. It's clear that this was an extremely dynamic and fast-paced investigation. Whilst this was an exceptional case due to the media and public scrutiny, this is not wholly unprecedented in policing and could occur at any time. It absolutely could. Totally could. It's likely that other forces and individuals in the future will also experience such a deployment. All forces should consider the circumstances of this case to ensure that they are prepared for similar circumstances in their force area. Yeah, if anything good is to come of this, it is to learn the lessons that all family liaison officers should have media training, and that should include social media training. How to deal with numpties on Twitter. Not that you really can, but you can at least advise. It's identified that the training delivered by the family liaison officers course has only incorporated a media element since 2020. Really? I had family liaison officers in 2014 who were brilliant. So what were they doing? Were they just making it up? Because it didn't seem like they were. That was just what they did. I must have just been really lucky with who I got. I must have been. Seriously, I must have been. Because they said that was their job. I don't know. As a consequence, a high proportion of nationally trained family liaison officers have training that predates 2020 with no guidance in this area. Family liaison training is delivered by forces and there is no national quality assurance to ensure consistency. Wow. Additionally, prior to 2020, it was not part of the family liaison officer role expectation to provide media guidance to the family, yet mine did. However, this requirement has been introduced since the Kerslake report, an independent review into the preparedness for and emergency response to the Manchester Arena attack on the 22nd of May 2017. The increased demands placed on a family during a high-profile incident by both social media and mainstream media increases the responsibility for the police to navigate these challenges. The gap in media expertise increases the risk both to the family and to the investigation. It's increased further when a family conducts their own media engagement, albeit with good intentions. They were contemplating the navals. Yeah, probably. It's a lottery with the police in the UK. Yeah, that's true. There are some brilliant officers, but then there's some that just, I don't know, they got to work for the uniform. It's bad, though. I mean, this could be any force in the UK. Tomorrow could wake up with a Nicola Bulley situation. And would they be prepared to deal with it? Would they have the expertise, the training to deal with it? Probably not. Recommendations. The College of Policing should work with the MPCC to consider how to address the identified skill and resources gap for media engagement guidance for families. This is a key gap in investigations of this nature. In addressing this gap, consideration should also be given to how guidance can be provided to those outside the family who may be acting as spokesperson or point of contact for the media in high-profile investigations. So that's the end of chapter 1. And I said during the investigation, I said it, that UK policing is not prepared for this. UK policing is way behind in their attitudes and their understanding of social media. And it seems that this was the test case. This was the test case. And unfortunate for Lancashire Constabulary, it was them who had this case, who've had all this negative publicity, but it could be any force. And I don't think a year down the line, I don't think it would be any better if, I don't know, something very similar that's blew up in the media happened in Newcastle or in, I don't know, what was it, Brighton or wherever it could happen in the UK. That force would not have the resource, they wouldn't have the training, they wouldn't have they just wouldn't have the understanding of how to deal with social media. Simple as that. I just hope that a lot of improvements are made as a result of this report. I don't know though. All right, chapter 2, leadership. All right, so some more criticisms coming up here. Decision not to declare a critical incident. The following is taken from the College of Policing Critical Incident Management APP. A critical incident is defined as any incident where the effectiveness of the police response is likely to have a significant impact on the confidence of the victim, their family, and or the community. So the guidance also states that management of a critical incident, or we've got a new acronym coming in now, so CI is critical incident, should start with the early identification and notification. Processes should be in place to manage issues that may affect the quality of the police response before they affect the public confidence. So cover your arses, people. All right. Particular attention should be paid to the needs of the victim, their family, and the community. The guidance is clear around who can declare a critical incident. It states that anyone can call a critical incident to bring it to the attention of a senior officer, but only a designated senior officer, for example, the duty inspector, can declare it an incident as critical. Okay. At the outset, the investigation was correctly not declared a critical incident. However, the investigation should have been declared as a critical incident as it developed. On the 30th of January, the FLA, oh God, what's the FLA? Family Liaison Advisor, maybe, felt that it was probably a critical incident. So that was the Monday. So yeah, Friday, woman goes missing. Okay, well, she could have just walked off and she's going to be found, or she could have fallen in the river and she's managed to get out at some point and she's lying injured on the bank somewhere. All right, so it takes a few hours, but they're going to find her. Okay, weekend comes and there's an on-call family person, on-call SIO, and they're also dealing with a firearms incident elsewhere, so their attentions are divided at this point. So the firearms incident is not related to the Nicola Bulley case in any way, shape or form. They just had another incident that was going on at that weekend. Okay. So by Monday, they should have realised Nicola's still missing and there is a considerable media interest in this now. So Monday morning, it should have been declared a critical incident. They should have had family liaison support. They should have had a family press statement out on that Monday, in my opinion. Okay. It was not declared a critical incident at the time. On the 5th of February, the SIO made a written and recorded request to a member of the chief officer team for the investigation to be declared as such, recognising the negative impact of the media reporting. So that was another 5 days after. So it took till, no, 6 days. That was the Monday. It took till the Sunday. The 5th of February was the Sunday, the following Sunday, that the senior investigating officer sort of thought, oh, yeah, we should declare this. Maybe this is more serious than we thought because of the media reporting. The chief officer declined to declare it as such, believing the community to be extremely supportive. Well, they weren't looking on social media, were they? They weren't, were they? Yeah, they were still really busy contemplating their navels. Listen, I'm sure that everybody involved, I don't think they could fault the searchers. I think the searchers did everything right. I think the issue is with the leadership and the decisions that were made early doors, not with the search at all in any way. They did everything they could do on the ground and in the water. They did everything they could do, given how difficult it is to locate somebody in a moving body of water like a river, especially when that river is tidal. Okay. But the leadership and the decisions that were made were bad. And listen, I back the blue, and this is my force. Lancashire's my county, my force. I've been accused of supporting the police no matter what. No. The police are very important. We can't cope without the police. There would just be anarchy without the police. Right? However, when they make mistakes, I will say so. If you're following my coverage of the Delphi case, you'll know that. You'll know that. If you're following the Karen Reid case, and admittedly, I've not made many videos about the Karen Reid case, but my opinion about the police in the Karen Reid case is terrible. They're terrible. Canton police, they're terrible over there in Massachusetts. In Indiana, they're creating a lot of problems. The Summer Wells case, Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. Terrible. Awful. Sack them all. I can't say the same for the TBI, honestly, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. But the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your life? However, in cases where the police have been really good, like in the Idaho case, I will praise them, and I will praise them to the heavens and back when they do good work. However, in this case, the searchers, whether they're police searchers, whether they're volunteer searchers, whether they're, the Coast Guard, whoever it was, I think they all did a brilliant job. And it comes out in this report. There's no criticism of the searchers in this report. All the criticisms that I'm seeing here in this report, and we're only on chapter 2, is with the leadership, with the decision making, and with the media people at Lancashire Constabulary. Terrible. You lost this case. You lost the public in this case. And you had people like me, trying to be the voice of logic and reason. And look, this case, guys, is really simple. She fell in the river. The dog's at the river. She fell in the river. But no, I was drowned out by social media numpties at every turn. They were everywhere. They were everywhere. They still are. Search hashtag Nicola Bulley on Twitter today, right now, and look at the nonsense. Look at it. I dared to do it earlier. I dared to do it. I've not done it before. Since this report came out, I've not done it. But I did it today, and it's terrible. All the same crap. All the same crap. All right. Okay. Let's carry on. All right. Where were we at? All right. The chief officer declined to declare it as such, believing the community to be extremely supportive. While not agreeing with the SIO's request, the chief officer instead suggested that a gold group meeting the following day could revisit the decision and review as appropriate. So gold group are going to go and contemplate their navels and think about it some more over coffee and, I don't know, they probably had bacon bars or something. I have no idea. This was not discussed or added to the agenda. No way. For the gold group. The next day or subsequently. Oh, right. So we'll discuss it tomorrow. So that was a fob off. All right. That was a fob off. But they didn't actually do it. All right. Okay. Good stuff. The decision was made despite the clear and significant impact on Nicola's family and the community, as well as a diminishing public confidence in Lancashire Constabulary. In the same communication to the SIO, the chief officer referenced the activity of Mr. Faulding and his potential impact. Yes, let's all blame Peter Faulding. Listen, Peter was terrible. Peter was bad. His contribution to the Nicola Bulley investigation is 100% negative and still is. However, in his defense, he's not the only problem. In his defense, he's not the only problem. He's one problem, but not the only problem. The other problem is the police, or at least the decision making amongst the police. Dear God. It was not until the 16th of February that Lancashire Constabulary agreed to declare the incident as a critical incident, following media criticism and the subsequent release of Nicola's personal information. So once they'd bumbled along and released Nicola's personal information and the media went completely haywire, then you decide to declare it a critical incident. All right, then. Well done. Well done. You got there in the end. Man, all right. As reviews have the benefit of hindsight, there is a risk that this may criticise decisions that were made at the time when the information known was incomplete. That's very magnanimous of them. In this case, however, this review considers that the evidence for failing confidence was very clear early on. It absolutely was. It totally was. It totally was. You only need to go and look. Just roll back Twitter, roll back Facebook, roll back TikTok to the beginning of February, and you will see what a drama it was. What an absolute drama it was. Not to mention YouTube. Dear God. The decision by the chief officer team not to declare it a critical incident earlier was, in our view, misguided. Absolutely. The media and engagement team believe that the chief officer's team decision failed to take into account the exceptionally high media and public interest in the investigation that should have been evident to them from the first week. Public confidence is crucial to policing. In this case, public confidence in Lancashire Constabulary was likely to have been damaged largely because they lost control of the media and social media. Yeah, they did. They absolutely did. Not declaring a critical incident and not releasing more information about the investigation hampered Lancashire Constabulary's ability to control the narrative and undermined public confidence. A successful working relationship between police forces and journalists remains essential to public confidence and policing legitimacy in the UK. That's from the Society of Editors, whoever they are. Oh, Sky News. Yeah, that woman, what's her name? Kay Burley, is it? Yeah, she was everywhere. Kay Burley. Chatting to Ron at the side of the river. His dog had a poo live on Sky News. Oh dear. That just sums it up, that does. Through access to social media and a 24-hour news cycle, the public are constantly inundated with information and images about world events. No shit, Sherlock. Both true and false. According to the latest data from Ofcom. Oh, Ofcom have got another mention. News consumption in the UK 2023. Okay. 75% of UK adults consume news through broadcast media, including on-demand content. What's broadcast media? Like BBC and stuff like that. Sky News, I guess. While 68% consume news through social media. It's therefore vital for police to gain trust and confidence through transparent, accessible communication with the public. So 75% are watching broadcast media, 68% social media. What are the rest watching? None. I guess they overlap. They're not like mutually exclusive, are they? Right. I only watch like clips from BBC and Sky News and stuff like that when they appear on social media. I don't actually possess a TV. So unless I get a news source that I need to look up, which frankly are usually American, because the majority of cases that I cover are American. But I have to make a special effort to go there and look it up. Anyway, it's therefore vital for police to gain trust and confidence through transparent and accessible communication with the public. I think what they should have done is recognise the impact on trust and confidence in the police, and it should have triggered them. Yeah, it should have. So this is a senior police communicator external to Lancashire Constabulary. A senior police communicator at a large urban force, right, highlighted an increasing need for public confidence to be taken into account when making the decision to declare a critical incident. They also suggested that in certain cases, communications need to be given higher priority in the Chief Office team meetings. It's particularly true when a case is not operationally difficult, but presents reputational risks because of the media and social media interests. No, it wasn't an operationally difficult case. It was a missing persons case where it was obvious what likely happened to her. I mean, it wasn't operationally difficult, as in, you're not chasing down a bunch of like thugs. You're not chasing down a terrorist cell or anything like that. You're collecting some CCTV, you're appealing for dash cam, you get the CCTV, you find the witnesses, you interview the witnesses, you realise that there was nobody dodgy about. Within the first couple of days, you've got that sorted. So where is she then? She's in the river. That's very clear. Not operationally difficult. I mean, search-wise difficult, because anybody who is missing in a moving body of water is difficult to recover. So for the searchers on the water side, it's difficult. However, operationally, for the leadership, allocating resources, not operationally difficult. But messed it up anyway. I am often told communications is a priority on a case, and then it's left to the end of the chief officer team agenda. Okay. Conclusions. Lancashire Constabulary should have adhered to College of Policing APP guidelines on the declaration of critical incidents, in particular the requirements to consider the reputational impact of high-profile incidents on public confidence in the police. National definitions help ensure consistent and effective police responses, as well as describing to others the level of seriousness being applied to a policing response. By not declaring a critical incident, the constabulary missed a significant opportunity to signpost clearly, both to those within the constabulary and the wider public. and the seriousness with which the constabulary was responding. Nicola's disappearance should have been declared a critical incident as early as the 30th of January, that's the Monday, as it clearly met the definition provided by the APP. There is ample evidence of this. The decision not to declare it as such when a chief officer was asked on the 5th of February was, in our view, a mistake. Declaring a critical incident would have led to a stronger command structure with a greater focus on areas of concern. This could have included the assignment of family liaison, greater focus on the media, internal recognition, and messages to staff. The declaration on the 16th of February that it was a critical incident was too late. It was rendered ineffective. Yeah, because she was found on the 19th. Okay. Lancashire Constabulary should ensure that their media engagement team has sufficient influence and representation in their decision-making process for the declaration of critical incidents to provide a better understanding of the media interest and public confidence levels. Good stuff. All right. Oversight and governance. Lancashire Constabulary Chief Officer oversight of the Nicola Bulley investigation was delivered through daily GRIP meetings. Oh, God. I've no idea what a GRIP meeting is. Which were overseen by the Deputy Chief Constable. This was supported by fortnightly Chief Officer team meetings, which were chaired by the Chief Constable. Navel gazing. Okay. A command structure for the incident was implemented quickly on the 27th of January and led by a local chief superintendent. This took the form of a more localized management of the incident. Okay, everything should be good to go then, shouldn't it? All right. The College of Policing's guidance on command structures, which forms part of its operations APP, states that the generic command structure, nationally recognised, accepted and used by the police, other emergency services and partner agencies, based on the gold, silver and bronze hierarchy of command that can be applied to the resolution both spontaneous incidents and planned operation. Also states that this structure provides a framework for delivering a strategic, tactical and operational response to an incident or operation. It also allows processes to be established that facilitate the flow of information and ensures that decisions are communicated effectively and documented as part of an audit trail. Most incidents and operations are resolved using a simple gold, silver, bronze command structure with the responsibilities and accountabilities of each commander clearly set out in command protocols. The command structure is a role, not a rank, specific, and allows for flexibility. Okay. Maybe there's too many cooks in the kitchen there, high up in the leadership. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. Despite the increasing media profile of the incident, as well as the impact on the family and the public, a gold command structure was not established until the 1st of February, 5 days after Nicola's disappearance. Contrary views were expressed by Lancashire Constabulary to the review team as to who performed the role of gold commander in the first week. I don't know. No gold commander. They didn't know who was leading the ship. All right. The constabulary stated that the incident was overseen and managed ultimately by 2 gold commanders. However, records of the gold group meetings clearly referenced 3 gold commanders. So there really was too many cooks in the kitchen. With an operational superintendent performing the role from the 1st to the 3rd of February. The records of the gold group meetings do not reference the silver or bronze supportive roles until the 5th of February. Oh, dear God. When there was one reference, greater identification and delineation of these supportive roles is documented from the 7th of February. The review team feels that an earlier and clear distinction of roles within the strategic coordination would have provided a benefit to direction. So they're all there sitting around, navel gazing, and then chasing the tails to catch up. Too many people doing nothing. Yeah. These people sitting in offices. It's not the people on the front line. Listen, it's not the people on the front line. It's not the people with boots on the ground. It's not the people in the water. It's not the drone operators. It's none of them. It's not. It really isn't. The criticism is with the people in the offices making decisions too late. That's the problem. The establishment and development of a clear goal strategy as a core element of a goal command structure was not undertaken until the 5th of February, 9 days after Nicola's disappearance and 4 days after Gold Command was first established. A clear strategy is required at the outset of the implementation of a formal goal command structure in order to support the objective of the incident. All right, whatever. Goal strategy was initially recorded by the local chief superintendent on the 5th. This strategy, when initially written, did not fully capture the wider strategic objectives necessary for the management of this incident, with only 4 objectives set. The College of Policing provides national goal command training across a number of different available disciplines, which provides the necessary practical framework for strategic level command within forces. Gold Public Order, Community Safety Command Course, Strategic Firearms Command Course, Senior Investigating Officer Development Program, Multi-Agency Gold Incident Command, MAGIC. Oh, that's a good acronym, MAGIC. Who came up with that one? Oh, I bet they were dead pleased when they came up with that one. Senior Leadership Development Program. The goal strategic objectives set on the 5th of February were later amended on the 8th. As a point, they were extended to 12 strategic objectives, which aim to incorporate wider public confidence issues. Too late by the 8th. You'd lost by the 8th. And to provide broader considerations to effectively respond to the incident. The setting of further strategic objectives came through the additional chief officer team oversight provided by the later force goal commander, ACC Peter Lawson. Oh, he gets a name. He gets a mention. he gets a mention, whoever this Peter Lawson is. Back to policing school. Yes. Magic they wish. Oh, dear. Dear. RD. Law enforcement should have been searching all night long with spotlights, at least for the first couple of nights. They may well have seen her go over the weir, which possibly. I mean, they had thermal imaging and stuff like that out at night. So, but yeah. I mean, you know, if I was closer, if this had happened in my village, like where, you know, I was dead close, I'd have been out at night. I'd have been walking the banks of that river at night. But I mean, it's just incredibly difficult to find someone in water. It really is. When Peter Folding arrived at the scene, he says there was no law enforcement there, only local media. I know for a fact that's not true. Grace, I know 100% for a fact that's not true. Because I was there on the day that Peter Folding arrived. If you go and watch my footage from the episode 2, so what day would that have been? Whenever that was. Episode 2, it says Peter Folding in the title. I'm going to play it again. I'm going to show you. All right. I don't have to play the whole thing, but... Okay. All right. So this is the 6th of February. This is Peter's colleague from SGI holding court there with the media. Although Peter Falding said he was hounded by the media. I mean, this guy here doesn't look very hounded. This was about 3:30 on the 6th of February. Okay. All right. All right. What do you see in a minute? Let me just play this through. Oh, who's this coming? Oh, look, policeman. There's a policeman right there. There's a policeman. He's coming up behind you, Peter's colleague. There's a policeman. Right. That's Penny's front yard. Right. The cops were hanging out there. And I know there was volunteer searchers in that field because I talked to some of them. And they knew where to go if they found anything of interest. It was to Penny's to get a copper. So that's not true. 100%. With your own eyes, you can see a policeman right there. SGI are right there. Where Peter was, I've no idea. He was probably having a brew. He was probably meeting with the chief inspector or whatever. He signed his NDA at 6:01, did Peter, on that night, even though they'd already been out. They'd done a walk around in the morning, and then this guy here was holding court with the media. And yeah, the SGI van was there with all the equipment in it, and the cops were there right next to the SGI van. So that is 100% not true. Wherever you've got that from, it's not true. Perhaps it was earlier in the day. Well, what time did Peter arrive? Because I was there all afternoon. The searchers were there in the morning. Not true. Not true. Wherever you've heard that, not true. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Where were we at? Oh, yeah. Peter Lawson, whoever he is. Oh, I hope he's no relation of Ronnie Lawson. Oh, they're up shit creek with 0 paddles. If this Peter Lawson is related to Ronnie Lawson. Oh, no. Oh, no, man. Okay. Representation within the daily gold group meetings were taken solely from Lancashire Constabulary, with no representation from either statutory partners or the community. They may have narrowed the understanding of the community and public issues presented, may have reduced diversity of thought, may not have had an impact on public confidence. Yeah, because they're all sitting there in the little gold group meeting. A community impact assessment was completed on the 30th of January and revised regularly throughout the time of the investigation and beyond. This assessment lists a number of people whose views were sought, including local political figures. Oh, well, we're fucked. We're absolutely effed. Oh, if you want the local political figures to intervene, you have lost the game. You've lost the game. No way. Oh, man. They should have just asked me. I'd have helped them. Dear God. All right. The assessment focused on the local impact of the investigation for community adjacent to the river. It's understandable that a community impact assessment completed by the officers with roles in local community engagement, as if the local politicians know anything that's going on in the community. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, come on. There's some good local councillors. There really is. There are some good local councillors. All right. But you're lucky to find one. That's all I'm saying. All right. On the purpose of a goal group. Dear me, making me cough. Oh, dear. There's more lie detector waffle with Lawson at the moment, is there? Oh, has Lawson given a statement or anything? Or is it just what he said previously? Because if it's what he said previously, then whatever. All right. So, one of the purposes of a goal group is to raise the strategic focus and to consider the broader implications of the incident in question. A community impact assessment did not do this, nor would it be expected to do so. All right. The goal group would have been better able to consider the broader implications of the incident if it had representation from community people who were able and willing to critique how the investigation was perceived. All they needed to do was look on social media. The College of Policing's Operation APP points to the requirement to secure external views for policing to understand the reasons why there are questions over community confidence. The APP states using independent advisory groups during police operations or as part of a review process can be a positive step in improving transparency, as well as they have been shown to improve communications and engagement with communities. It can provide real-time critical appraisal of police actions from the perspective of a recipient of policing services and a member of the community. The impact of social media on the commentary about the investigation mentioned earlier in the report increased the need for external views as part of Lancashire Constabulary's management arrangement. A critical incident is defined in relation to the confidence that victims' families and communities have in the policing response. It's important that forces involve individuals who are able to critically appraise the police commanders about the views held outside the force. The view was unable to discuss the investigation with the chief officer who was involved in the investigation from the 30th to the 5th due to their retirement. Well, what? So you see, so they're suddenly unable to use a phone because they've retired. Okay. All right. However, the constabulary shared a number of communications that demonstrates chief officer involvement and oversight, the earliest of which dated February 2nd. All of these communications focus largely on operational aspects. All right. So, conclusions of this section. Please watch Break the Ice to hear exactly what Peter Folding experienced. Grace, no. You go and watch my episode 2 to find out what really happened. Okay. I've no idea what Break the Ice is, nor do I want to know. Okay. All right. While there was a chief officer oversight of the investigation, there appears to have been insufficient focus on the impact on public confidence in the early stages. The high-quality operational elements of the investigation suggest that if similar levels of attention have been applied to chief officers to issues relating to public confidence, then challenges may have been avoided. Okay. Candice is going to get her results from her lawyer, she says. Oh, does she have a lawyer now? Oh, God. All right. Lancashire Constabulary should have more closely followed national guidelines, blah, 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 blah. All right. So what are the recommendations? Should ensure greater clarity regarding the point at which goal command structure should be formally established. Would that have even helped? I don't know. Lancashire Constabulary should consider the inclusion and benefits of external and community representation with their gold group. Oh, God. All right. Media expertise. Grace is your Saturday name, Peter. Yeah. Yeah. Peter is a legend in his own lifetime. He really is. He's a legend in his own head. And that's the only place he's a legend. But if you want to go and believe him, all right then. Okay. Found a body within 6 minutes. All right. Found tree branches near the island, which is not an island, it's a tree. So, oh, look, there's tree branches in the river because there's a tree. Oh, boom. All right. Media expertise. The review found a sense of disbelief and denial amongst senior leads as to how this type of incident could have grown to such an extent in the terms of national and international media public interest. Why would you disbelieve it? Why would you go into denial about it? It's there. How can you deny it? It's right there. There was a clear sense that Lancashire Constabulary knew how to respond to a high-risk missing person incident, but was less equipped and prepared to manage the media interest. Yes, all police constabularies are the same. They're all going to suffer the same if an incident like Nicola Bulley's happens in Newcastle or London or Brighton or Cardiff or Inverness. They're all going to suffer the same thing because they're all ill-equipped to deal, especially with social media. But searching, they didn't put a foot wrong, in my opinion. Those boots on the ground, the people in the water, all of those people work very hard, very hard. The problem is with the decision making, it's with the training, and disbelief and denial, I'm sorry, gets you nowhere. The investigation was treated as seriously as any other missing person matter. This was a reflection on how Lancashire Constabulary saw the incident in policing terms. However, Lancashire Constabulary did not entirely associate the impact of the media on this incident with their policing response. Better appreciation of the media and public interest would have transformed the status of the investigation. Instead, this was underestimated. Yeah, he mistook tree branches for Nicola's legs and arms, yeah. Oh dear. Michelle, you should do as they are going to do a live Q&A with Peter Folding on the 7th of December at 7:30. No, you're all right. I'll give that one a miss. I'm busy on that day. I'm really busy on that day. I am not prepared to spend my time listening to Peter Folding's bullshit. Are you hearing me? Bullshit about finding a body in 6 minutes, while simultaneously coming out telling the media she's not in the fucking river. Man, sorry if you've got small ears in the room. I'm getting mad. All right, I won't swear again, honest. All right. Okay, coverage of this incident was on par with many major national media stories in recent times. As a result, this was one of the high-profile media incidents that Lancashire Constabulary has ever experienced. It's the biggest. It's the biggest in my lifetime. The impact of this coverage presented a significant challenge to public confidence in Lancashire Constabulary. It's an aspect that requires the most reflection and learning. Oh, God, don't ask them to reflect. Dear God. Dear God. Come on, Michelle, where's your open mind? I've got a very open mind. That's how I can see through the absolute shit show that is Peter Folding. That's how. I don't follow the sheeple going, nah, she's not in the river, while simultaneously you found her within 6 minutes. That's how I do my own research. I go to the scene and see what's actually there, knowing full well that this supposed island that Nicola's body was found at is a tree, and therefore it's tree branches. So, yeah. Maybe it's you guys that need the open mind. Yeah. Maybe it's you guys that need to understand what hypothesis testing means And it's you guys that need to understand how research is conducted. It's you guys who need to understand how investigations are conducted. And it's you guys who need to piss off out of my chat if you're doing nothing but bleat like a little sheeple. All right. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Bah, bah, bah. Oh, you want a penny sheep? You want a penny sheep? Do you want to see penny sheep? Let's see if there's any sheep on this. Oh, there's no sheep. No sheep. You can hear them though. You can hear them though if I played it, but no sheep. All right. Okay. I've got sheep on another. You should go and watch my playlist. I've got penny sheep on some videos. All right. Okay. She didn't knock me in the river, by the way. She just did nothing, but she just smiled at me. All right. Maybe because I wasn't harassing her, trespassing on her land, breaking into her caravans, or otherwise being an absolute pisshead. And I don't know. Maybe that's why she was mad. I'm just suggesting that might have been a thing. All right. The Chief Officer's team's apparent lack of recognition regarding the additional dimensions of the investigation was, in our view, an error of judgment. Whilst the strategic insight of the media engagement team has been available to the Chief Officer team, it was not accepted. The Chief Officer team may have responded better if the input and expertise of the media and engagement team had been given more weight in relevant discussions. An example of this is the decision regarding which individual should be the media spokesperson, which is covered in more detail later in this report. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Can't wait. Can you, Cassie? Can you wait? Can you wait? Cassie's here now. She's saying she can wait. Saying she can wait. Okay. Lancashire Constabulary should reflect on the significant level of expertise and skill provided by the media engagement team, and whether that team's role and advice is sufficiently embedded within its structures. It isn't. And daily GRIP meetings. I still don't know what a GRIP meeting is. You didn't tell me what a GRIP meeting is. This may better align to the understanding and awareness of public interest, especially in light of discussions held on social media, allowing Lancashire Constabulary to be more responsive in the area. Ultimately, the weakness in the response to the investigation centred on a disconnect between operational decisions and understanding the impact of public confidence. Chief Officer team should review how the media expertise is connected. What's this? Oh, God. All right. Okay. We've got to understand this graph now. Got to understand this graph. All right. Okay. So this is figure 2. Chart showing the number of published articles and shares on X, formerly known as Twitter, from the day that Nicola Bulley was reported as a missing person to the day her body was recovered. Okay. So dark blue, force activity and engagement with the media, and light blue, engagement with the media by others, red, media and social activity and sentiment. Okay. So FF is family friend, PA is Paul Ansell, PF is Peter Faulding, okay, and SIO, Senior Investigating Officer. Okay, all right. So on the vertical axis, okay, is the numbers, and then this is the dates across here. All right, okay. All right, so 27th, Nicola's reported missing. Okay, 30th, first press briefing. Okay, I've forgotten what the right. Force activity and engagement with media and others. So what number of published articles and shares? So is this what the police are sharing? And this is what others are sharing. And this is the activity. Okay. All right. Okay, so first press briefing. Sky News interview with the Bulley family. Social media conspiracy theories begin. When was that? The 2nd. I think they were happening before then. A second. I don't know, maybe. I just need to go and look through my YouTube comments. Okay, so first press conference, social media disbelief of the drowning hypothesis. Family friend criticises the investigation. Peter Falding offers to help the media. What good is this graph? Who's done this graph? It's stupid. What's this now? All right, I can't deal with that. Body found. So where's the social media stuff? That's stupid. What? All right, isn't it nuts? All right, can't be arsed with that now. All right. Okay, media presence. During the investigation, a senior media lead from another force carried out an independent review of Lancashire Constabulary's communications. The reviewer advised Lancashire Constabulary that they were faceless. While forced press briefings were arranged on 5 occasions, the reviewer noted that there was no individual acting as a figurehead or responding to new angles. I thought that was Rebecca. I thought she was the figurehead. This was an international media event, and at its peak, over 6,500 press articles were being generated in a single day, which is almost unprecedented for such an investigation. During this time, Lancashire Constabulary were also receiving considerable criticisms, with headlines such as the following. Yeah, faceless. Yeah, it says faceless. Faceless. They were faceless. Faceless. Okay. Forensic experts slam police handling of Nicola Bulley investigation as mess. Nicola Bulley police losing trust after crucial mistake, says top murder detective. Oh, that was that. Yeah, that was that clown, though, wasn't it? Nicola Bulley cops spot fury by revealing mum's recently resurfaced health issues. Nicola Bulley police slammed for taking 2 weeks to quiz fishermen over disappearance as critical lead emerges. Critical lead, a fisherman. Thank you, Ashley, for the $20. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, the fisherman. This level of detail is deeply... Those fishermen weren't there on the day, though. They weren't. They were there the day before. All right, this level of detail is deeply disturbing. MPs and campaigners slam Lancashire police for revealing missing Nicola Bulley's battle with alcohol and demand, blah, blah, blah. Denise Welsh. Oh, well. If Denise Welsh says it. Denise Welsh is an actress, I think. Is she? Is that who Denise Welsh is? Is that someone else? I think she used to be on Corrie back in the day. Blast disgraceful comments about Nicola Bulley's alcohol and menopausal issues. Ex-Met detective says officers in Nicola Bulley search have created a circus and should not have revealed detail, blah, blah, blah. Nicola Bulley cop sexist for revealing missing mum's health issues, claims minister. I don't think it's sexist. Revealed. Lancashire police refused extra help to search for Nicola Bulley. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. Lancashire Constabulary were labelled sexist and misogynistic because of the release of personal information, and the SIO received extensive inappropriate criticisms related to their appearance. Yeah, I don't think that was fair. What people were saying that Rebecca Smith was inappropriately dressed. She wasn't. Come on. You expect her to wear? I don't know. Okay. With this level of criticism and international exposure, there was a clear and obvious threat to public confidence in Lancashire Constabulary. I think we've established that. I don't think we need to keep harping on about the same thing, but that's just me. Arguably towards national policing, with incidents such as Nature a force responsive with incidents of with incidents of such nature. A force response regularly involves the most senior individual in that force presenting in the media, providing the providing the necessary visibility and assurance. Had this been done, this could have represented Lancashire Constabulary and its investigation in a stronger light. Okay, all right. It wouldn't have. It wouldn't have. It wouldn't have, because you didn't respond quickly enough. That's the problem. It's not the face of Lancashire Constabulary that's the problem, or in fact that it was viewed as faceless. That's the problem. The problem was you didn't control the media from the beginning. What I mean by that is you didn't have the family on board who could have rejected the nonsense that was Peter Faulding. The reason why this idiot Peter Faulding is even in the picture at all is because the family and the family friend had lost confidence in the police because you'd not supported them adequately, and they turned to the likes of a charlatan, in my opinion, some people might call him that, instead of supporting the police effort and the search effort to find Nicola. In my opinion, some people might think that. I'm not thinking that necessarily, but I can understand how some people might think that. Okay. Can't sue me with that, can you, Peter? All right. Okay. The decision not to present the chief constable or deputy chief constable to the media as a figurehead of what would that have achieved? Who even is the chief constable or deputy chief constable to the media? What difference would that have made? The chief constable. Come on, they're thinking too highly of themselves now. Do you know what I would have appreciated? Hearing from the searchers. Do you know what I'd have really appreciated? Knowing what the boots on the ground was like. That's what I would have appreciated. Not the chief constable being the figurehead. No. Get the people who are actually doing the work as the figureheads. You'd have had much more public confidence if you could have actually seen the people who were doing the work, the actual work. Okay. It's unclear and beyond the ability of this review to establish whether any barriers exist with Lancashire Constabulary's most senior team to holding those types of conversations. The SAO was requested, due to other officers being unavailable, to jointly undertake the press conference on the 15th. Despite the operational need, the choice to use the SIO in this way was not in line with the College of Policing's Engagement and Communications APP and was contrary to the judgment of the SIO. This was a significant request considering the substantial operational activities being undertaken by the SIO at the time. Why shouldn't the scene... What? The wider communications and engagement activities relating to the investigation is considered later in this report. How much more is there? Oh, God, these chapters are long, aren't they? Oh, we've got another graph. All right, I'm just going to read one more section. Actually, let's listen to the press conference. Let's end it there for this. Let's listen to the press conference on the 15th. Was that the one where they announced stuff? It was. Let's watch that. Okay. I've got to find it though. Okay. Not that. So that's the 6th. Live press conference. What date was that? Yes, got it. All right. KK. Where does it start? Pacific Coast. and in a temper so much.
And staff who have helped in the investigation.
Right.
To remind us, Nicola went missing on the morning of Friday the 20th.
Can you hear that, everybody? So this is the press conference on February the 15th.
Can you hear me okay here? Good. Okay. Very good morning, and thank you for your flexibility with a slight change in timing for this press conference. My name is Peter Lawson, and I'm an Assistant Chief Constable here with Lancashire Constabulary. I'm joined to my left by Detective Superintendent Becky Smith. Becky is the Senior Investigating Officer, SIO, in the investigation to find Nicola Bulley. I want to thank you for making the effort to come here this morning so we could give you an update on our investigation to find Nicola. She and her family remain foremost in our thoughts and our priorities in the investigation. Some of what Becky and I will say today has already been made public and has been widely reported, but I'm acutely aware that there continues to be extensive media interest, commentary, speculation, and indeed some criticism of our police investigation. Therefore, to try and address some of that, we will take you through in some detail, more than would normally be the case with an investigation, what exactly we've done over the last 19 days and continue to do. To remind us, Nicola went missing on the morning of Friday the 27th of January, and since that time we have done an unprecedented amount of work on the investigation to try and find her. The sole focus of that work is to find Nicola, to bring her home to her family and give them the answers they so desperately need. The investigation has involved a dedicated team of more than 40 detectives. They've been looking through hundreds of hours of CCTV, dashcam footage, speaking to numerous witnesses, carrying out digital inquiries, and examining literally hundreds of pieces of information submitted by the public. And I would like to thank the public for all of their assistance throughout this investigation. There are also dozens of other officers and staff who have helped in the investigation, searchers and reassurance for the local community in St Michael's. We've involved a range of specialists, both locally, regionally and nationally. The investigation has not wanted at any stage for experts who are the best in their field available to law enforcement in the UK. I would emphasise that it remains the case. There is no evidence to indicate a criminal aspect or third-party involvement in Nicola's disappearance. However, the officers involved in the investigation are the same experienced specialists and many senior officers who are concerned with the investigation of the most serious and complex crimes. That is the importance and focus we have given to the investigation to find Nicola. To give you some figures to back up some of what I've described, we visited more than 300 premises, spoken to almost 300 people, and received around about 1,500 pieces of information into the inquiry. In terms of the physical searches, both water-based and on land, we've used specialist resources from both police, a range of other agencies, and I'm grateful to those other agencies who've supported us. And in police assets, that's included the Northwest Underwater Search Unit, police horses, dogs, and the police helicopter. We continue to search extensively the River Wyre and surrounding area downstream and out into the sea towards the estuary. We've consulted with national experts in their field, including environmental and tidal experts. And we're carrying out have carried out an extensive land search surrounding the river, including some properties around the area where Nicola went missing. Slides have been made available for you to see, which show in some detail exactly where we were searched, but it's important to say that our activity has at every stage been directed by expert trained police search advisors, who we term pulsers, and they've been following a nationally recognised doctrine around search strategy, which will be followed by any expert police search advisor in UK policing. The lead police search advisor is here, and at the conclusion of the press conference, if you have any specific questions on a one-to-one basis with that officer, he will be able to assist with those. So it remains the case at the present time that there is no evidence in all the exhaustive inquiries we've made that suggests any crime has been committed, or that there is any third-party involvement in Nicola's disappearance. It is important for me to stress that the investigation continues, it is ongoing, and we are meticulously reviewing all information gathered from members of Nicola's family, the public, CCTV, dashcam, and other digital devices, to name just a few. We're also continuing to regularly consult with national experts from the National Crime Agency, the NCA, and they continue to support us and provide both tactical and strategic advice for the case. I will now hand to Becky, who will talk through in some more detail the investigation she's been leading from that senior investigating officer role. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming this morning. So, I'll firstly take you through the incidents that led up to Nicola being reported missing. I'll go through a timeline of events for you, followed by a number of topic areas that I believe are of interest to you. Also going on to a couple of areas that have been highlighted in the press, which I want to explain in detail. So first of all, Nicola Bulley was reported missing on Friday the 27th of January after dropping her children at St Michael's School in St Michael's. As soon as she was reported missing, following the information that was provided to the police by her partner Paul, and based on a number of specific vulnerabilities that we were made aware of, Nicola was graded as high risk. That is normal in a missing person from investigation with the information we were in possession of. She was immediately treated as and then on the 30th of January as a senior investigating officer. At that time, we reviewed all the information that had been gathered in the days prior to her being reported. And as any senior investigating officer does, you form a number of hypotheses, that is scenarios which are possible from the information to hand. Those hypotheses included the one that she possibly could have gone into the river, that there could have been third-party involvement, and lastly, that she could have left the area voluntarily. Those hypotheses have remained in place throughout, are reviewed regularly, as is normal with any SIO running a major investigation. At the initial stage of information I received, I made it clear that it was my working hypothesis at that time, based with all the facts, that the main hypothesis I was working on at that time was that Nicola had gone in the river. This has been misconstrued in the press and said that that was what I said. I said that was my main working hypothesis at that time, and that remains my main work. It's clear to see that the amount of effort, hours worked, resources that we've put into this investigation, that we have always been open-minded. Those three hypotheses and scenarios have been continually reviewed and continue to do so to this day. But as Mr. Dawson has said,
I don't know what happened. Oh, I think I switched over because it was a post stream, so I switched over.
has CCTV that covers the gate that enters the field. A witness that knows her had the last sighting, and that continues and will continue to do so until we have reviewed all the information received. So in terms of the actual timeline, Nicola Bulley dropped her children off at school at about 8:40 on Friday the 27th of January. That was normal. And she then proceeded, after chatting to a couple of people in the school yard, walked up Garstang Road and onto the river path over an iron bridge that takes you down to these fields. We know that because there are witnesses who have identified her, and also from her phone data. We know that Nicola entered the field and made a couple of messages on her mobile phone, one to her boss and one to a friend, making arrangements for a play date for her children. And at 9:01, we know she logged into a work call on Teams. Again, there has been lots of speculation about this. This was a perfectly normal call for Nicola to have. It was work related. She would never have had the microphone or camera on because it was more of an informative session. She didn't need to sign into it. She did so to enable her with her business. So I know there have been inquiries as to whether anybody else on the Teams call would have been able to hear or provide us with any information. I can assure you from the outset that was investigated thoroughly, and that is not the case. We know at this time that there were a number of dog walkers in the area, and we've been extremely fortunate from the very start of this inquiry to have a number of witnesses, key witnesses, who know Nicola. So there is no miscommunication about the identification of who is in that field. And also, we've viewed a substantial amount of CCTV. Again, whilst we can't cover the whole area with CCTV, we've been really fortunate in that we've had a lot, which has really been able to help us in pin down both Nicola's movements and also the movements of key witnesses, which is why we were able to give a timeline of events quite quickly, but reiterating that we were remaining open-minded to all three of those scenarios. So Nicola was last seen in the field, which we've called the upper field, at about 9:10 that morning. At that time, everything seemed normal. She was walking her dog Willow, who was off the lead. And again, a number of issues and inconsistencies have been raised in relation to Willow and her harness. It was really normal for Willow not to have her harness on. They never kept the harness on when they were in that field. The harness would be taken off Willow when they entered the field and would only be put back on when they were ready to leave the field. So at approximately 9:10, a witness that knows her had the last sighting, and that was at the upper field. And when I say an approximate time, it is that, but we are basing that on obviously the times that we can say that witness left the field. So I'm quite confident it is around that time. We then know from digital data that at some time around 9:20, we believe that Nicola's handset had moved towards the bench area. Again, there have been questions raised about her phone, whether that would have been in her possession when whatever happened has happened. But again, I'd just like to point out that it's really normal for Nicola, when in a Teams call, to be holding her phone out in front of her, listening to it. And we can say from a witness that knows her that morning, that is what she was doing. So that would explain why she doesn't have her phone in her pocket, as I know a number of people have raised. We then know at about 9:33, a local dog walker who is walking a dog comes across the bench and finds Willow untied, running between the bench and the gate. The mobile phone is on the bench, face upwards, still logged into the Teams call, and Willow's harness is halfway between the bench and the riverside. That witness makes a number, before returning home, she then returns and makes a number of phone calls to people, because at that point she doesn't know who the dog belongs to or who the phone belongs to, and doesn't know how to get in touch with people. She makes a number of inquiries with a local vet who can't assist her, and following a number of inquiries, eventually people return to the bench, recover the handset and Willow, and we find out that obviously they belong to Nicola. The alarm is then raised with the local school, who then in turn contact Paul Nicola's partner, who then makes to the scene. Just moving on to CCTV, like I've said, we are really fortunate in this inquiry that we've been able to narrow down a lot of the witnesses in the area's movements and to some extent Nicola's, but we can't complete that totally. The area at the top of the field, Rowan Water, has CCTV that covers the gate that enters the field and the front of the site. That is working. The site managers have been cooperating with us and so supportive of this investigation at every stage. And we can say that Nicola has not entered that area or left. We can also say that nobody that we haven't traced and spoken to and discounted has left or entered Rowan Water. The second point on CCTV is allotment lane. Again, we've been really, really fortunate, despite it being such a rural area, that we've got numerous sites of CCTV on that road. And that is why we can be confident that Nicola has not gone down that road. Unfortunately, the main entrance and exit to the fields is by the river path, as we refer to it. And that river path goes back to Garstang Road. You can fork off slightly, which takes you at the back of the Grapes pub, which would bring you back onto the main road. But again, that is covered by CCTV, and we know she hasn't left by that entrance. So talking about the river path, this has always been, and we've made this really clear in previous briefings and bulletins, that this has been our focus. And to do this, because of the lack of CCTV on the main road, we've had to appeal numerous times for motorists and cyclists in the area to send us through any potential clips of dash cam. And our intention is to review every one of those, however small they might be, to make sure that on none of those, Nicola is seen. At this stage, none of that dash cam has indicated that Nicola is there. However, I'd just like to point out, we are still reviewing those pieces of information. What I can say, which we've established only yesterday, was that if Nicola had left out of the river path and turned right, she has not reached the Great Pub. And we can say that because we have CCTV covering both sides of that pavement. So moving on to Nicola's phone, I've talked to you about the discrepancies that have been flagged up with the Teams call, whether she would have had that in front of her, whether she would have had it in a pocket. And we can say with confidence that Nicola that morning, whilst logged into her Teams call, had the phone out in front of her, listening to that call. We have, of course, like you would in any major inquiry, done an exhaustive amount of work with that phone. We have digital media experts doing everything we can with that. And that has enabled us to help us with her movements in the field, corroborated by the witness accounts. Moving on to Fitbit, as I know this has been of interest. Unfortunately, despite many technicians and specialists looking at this, there is no further information that we can gain from that because it hadn't been synced for a number of days. Just in relation to digital inquiries, there is further work that we are doing on Nicola's social media accounts this morning. The family are totally aware of this, but this work that we're doing might show Nicola as being online. I want to make this really clear. We have control of this phone. This will be the police that is doing these inquiries, and that nobody needs to be concerned or to contact the incident room in relation to this. Moving back to my original explanation of the scenarios that were under consideration, I've expressed before the hypotheses have been continually reviewed based on the information that is known to the inquiry team and the inquiry team only. Whilst other people may speculate and spread rumours, there is no evidence whatsoever or information, and there has been a vast amount reviewed, I can assure you, in the last almost 3 weeks to suggest any third-party involvement or Nicola leaving that field. However, this is an ongoing inquiry. We've got a large dedicated team
And as you can imagine, vast amount of information, some relevant and some not, coming in on a daily basis. So whilst my main working line of inquiry at the moment is that Nicola, based on the information known to me from the incident and of Nicola herself, and the information and vulnerabilities that have been given to us by her family, that is my main working hypothesis at this time. That does not mean that we aren't continuing to investigate every single line of inquiry, because I can assure you we are, and we, as much as everybody else in this country, wants to find out what's happened to Nicola, to be able to give her 2 children the answers they deserve. So in terms of persistent myths that keep being referred to in the press, the derelict house, which is across the other side of the river, that has been searched 3 times with the permission of the owner, and Nicola is not in there. The red van, we're really, really grateful to members of the public for ringing into the inquiry. We wouldn't have got this far without everybody's help. But I think it's also really obvious that we are being inundated with false information, accusations and rumours, which is distracting us from our work. The red van has been reported that it was in the area on the morning of the 27th, like many other hundreds of cars that morning. We're really grateful for the witness who has told us about that, and we are continuing to make inquiries to try and track down that specific van. But from my perspective, being in possession of all the facts and information of this case, I do not believe that to be suspicious, but we are continuing to investigate that so that we can identify whoever was in the area that time, to make sure that they can't give us any further information that will assist the investigation. There's also been mention of a number of fishermen that have been seen that morning, who again were described as suspicious. I myself don't find it suspicious that fishermen would be in the area of a river that morning or carrying fishing rods. But there was some suggestion that one of these males might have been looking to cover his face. We have made numerous appeals for these fishermen to come forward. We have made contact with the local angling clubs, and we have also ascertained the time of the witness passing down that road and checked the CCTV at the Grapes pub, which covers that end of Garstang Road, and we can't see any of those fishermen at that time on that day. But we are continuing to try and trace these people. Again, I would urge that they are not necessarily suspicious to me, but I'm really keen to trace them to make sure that there's no further information that they can give us that will assist. In terms of the glove that has been recovered, you'll no doubt be aware that TikTokers have been playing their own private detectives and have been in the area. A glove has been recovered that is not believed to be relevant to the investigation. It is not Nicola's, but we have got that in our possession. Lastly, there has been some mention of CCTV specifically at the caravan sites that hasn't been working, and that's suspicious itself. That is not the case. We have been helped and assisted beyond all belief by the caravan owners in this. The whole community wants to find Nicola and wants to give the family the answers that they deserve. Lastly, the family, and they are the most important part of this. And all this speculation and rumour is affecting them. They've got a loving daughter, sister, partner and mother who is missing, and that is my priority and the priority of the investigation team, and always has, and we can't be detracted from that. I have met the family on a number of occasions and will continue to do so, and they are kept through regularly updated throughout with our progress. There are dedicated family liaison officers who speak daily to the family, and only yesterday spent a significant amount of time with Paul. I can assure you that this investigation has been thoroughly investigated, no differently than any other major investigation from the outset, and that my absolute priority is to do everything we can to provide the answers to Nicola's 2 daughters who need to know where their mummy is. And whilst we have shared information today about specific individual vulnerabilities specific to this case and Nicola, I would ask you to respect the family's privacy in respect of those things. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. As I mentioned, we've shared more detail in this conference than would normally be the case, but intend that by doing so, both in terms of the scale of the investigation and the resources and the intensity of it, and something around Nicola's vulnerabilities, that we're able to counter some of the, and I won't be clear, but ill-informed speculation and conjecture that has at times distracted the investigation from what ought to have been its priorities. It has been a distraction. That is potentially damaging to the investigation, the community of St Michael's, and most importantly, Nicola's family. However, we've had incredible support from the public and continue to have a dedicated investigation team working on this inquiry, and we will continue to be as transparent as we possibly can be. You must appreciate, though, that when we do come forward, what we bring forward must be factual too. Anybody with relevant information can submit it through the Major Incident Public Portal, the MIP, the link to which is available on the Lancashire Police website. So thank you, and both Becky and I are happy to take some questions.
Hi there, Detective Superintendent. Can you just give us a bit more information about what Nikki's partner told you about her vulnerabilities, and why was it that you had to then identify her as high risk? And also, this is the 20th day that Nicola Bulley has been missing. How confident are you and your team that you will find her alive?
Okay, so firstly, to cover the information about Paul, it's normal in any missing person investigation that you obviously gather as much information at an early stage about the person in question, which is no different, and we did that with Paul. I'm not going to go into the details of those individual vulnerabilities. I've asked you to respect the family who are going through unimaginable pain and distress at this moment, but those vulnerabilities based our decision making in terms of grading Nicola as high risk, and have continued to form part of my investigation throughout. In terms of, sorry, what was the second part to your question?
It's the 20th day since
Absolutely.
Nicola has been missing. How confident are you and your team that you'll find Nicola Bulley alive?
I hope with all my heart that we find Nicola Bulley alive, more than anything.
How confident?
I have told you that my working hypothesis is at the moment, through all the information that we have gathered, that the likelihood is that Nicola has unfortunately gone in the river. However, I have to stress this because this has been continually misconstrued. I cannot be 100% certain of that at the minute because we are continuing. It's a live investigation and there is always information coming in. But we are in the 20th day. We have had a thorough, dedicated, meticulous investigation, and there is not one single piece of information that has come to note that would suggest that Nicola has left those fields.
Matt Drain, ITV Good Morning Britain. Two questions. First of all, can we confirm whether Nicola was wearing a headset at the time she was
No, she wasn't.
So she wasn't, just listening to it direct.
Yes.
Secondly, if you come to the end, onto the Iron Bridge, you turn left. So right, you say,
Yes.
been covered off
Yes.
by CCTV.
Yes.
Are we saying that to the left is a blind spot? And if so, how far down? There's no CCTV there, I take it, that's been recovered.
Not on that main road. I can't give you the specifics of the exact how many sites, but we were basically scoping off all the, as you turn left,
Yeah.
we're trawling all that area for any CCTV that we have got, but the main road, that area there isn't covered, unfortunately. So
that's
from the
blind
Iron
spot,
Bridge,
that's
so from the Iron Bridge to the school, if you will,
Yeah.
there is nothing there, which is why it's so important for the dash cam, because even though they're going to be tiny bite sizes of information, they're not going to be as good as being able to view CCTV. We need to be able to piece together as much of that portion of the road as we can.
And of those 700 cars, how many have been spoken to, or what percentage have been spoken to?
I can't give you exact figures on that because obviously there will have been more today that have come in, but a substantial amount.
Are there any different cars that we're looking for that you can feel for?
No, no. They've all had individual letters to the cars that we know have gone past in the area, not that particular, but in the area. And we've asked for positive responses only, and any dash cam that's come back in, which there has been an amount of, we have reviewed. Some of it doesn't show anything, some is still being reviewed. But at the minute, there is absolutely no sightings of Nicola on there.
Danny, did I hear correctly that you were appointed SIO on a Monday?
I was, yes.
Have Lancashire Police missed the trick? Nicola Bulley went missing on Friday, and SIO appointed not until the Monday. I've done in the first 24, 48 hours.
I can probably take this. I am satisfied that, as Becky has described, following the initial report of Nicola as being missing to Lancashire Police, immediately she was graded as high risk. That in itself is a significant level of risk that does bring with it focused attention and significant resources. So I'm satisfied that given there was no evidence of any crime having occurred at that first point of the report, yes, it was handled appropriately, but as the days began to progress, as would be normal with any high-risk missing person investigation, who hadn't turned up, hadn't been found by Monday, we began to layer in the expertise of a senior investigating officer with all the investigation infrastructure that comes with that.
Jamie Williamson from Bauer Media. It took Peter Folding and SGI 3 days to determine that Nicky wasn't in that stretch of river. How long will it take Lancashire Police, and how long will you continue searching the River Wye until you come to the same determination?
And again, it's probably something I can take. The search effort, both water-based and land-based, continues this week. There are police assets, including underwater search officers, continuing that exercise this week. Water is an inherently challenging medium to search, and the River Wye is tidal and flows out into the estuary near Cockerham Sands, and parts of the river have been searched repeatedly because of the shifting water patterns and tidal nature of it. We have taken the best expertise from people who are experts in the field around coastal movements of water and movements of water on inland waterways. I retain all hope, but the reality is there will be a point at which I need to review, in conjunction with Becky as the SIO and the search managers, the extent and proportionality of continuing to deploy significant search resources around the River Wye and the land-based options we have there. So for this week, the search effort is continuing. There will be a point in the days ahead where I do need to review that.
Nick on BBC. Social media video makers and wannabe detectives, have they been an annoyance or a hindrance to the inquiry?
Take that if you want. Yes, it has significantly distracted the investigation. In 29 years police service, I've never seen anything like it. Some of it's been quite shocking and really hurtful to the family. Obviously, we can't disregard anything, and we've reviewed everything that's come in, but of course it has distracted us significantly. But as long as we are prioritising, which we do constantly, on the information that's coming in, that will not distract us from the priority actions that we have been completing.
Holly Byrne, Daily Mirror. I'm just wondering, obviously you're talking about the evidence that you're working with and obviously your main hypothesis. Should you have cordoned off the bench and got forensics in so that you can be more certain that you can rule out things like foul play and be absolutely certain, rather than just saying that, you know, it's a main hypothesis?
Yeah, I understand why you would ask that. But at the end of the day, it was treated as a high risk missing from home immediately. And the officers that dealt with it in those days had the land searched immediately, which included the area around the bench.
Is it not significant that Willow was running between the bench and the gate, not the bench and the water's edge? I mean, I'm not expected to be an expert on dog behaviour.
And I'm not either.
But what do you make of that? What is anyone, what have you consulted on that?
We have consulted people, and we're ongoing with consulting people, but obviously I can't speak to the dog. And all we can say is that he was running backward and forwards, and he was still in the area where Nicola's possessions were, and that's all I can say.
But was more interested in the gate and the path leading away from there than the actual water.
At that time, when the witness found Willow was between the bench and the gate, however, I have to point out the dog could have got out from there.
We'll take one more question, please, everybody.
Holger with from Talk TV. Has the Police and Crime Commissioner had a meeting to voice any of his concerns surrounding this?
The Police and Crime Commissioner has been kept apprised, but the constabulary has operational independence and has been carrying out the investigation. And
All right, I don't want to hear about the police and crime commissioner, honestly. All right, so a few things that I've been chatting about in the chat. If you've been watching the chat while I've been listening to this, it was shortly after this that they had to put out a statement that clarified what vulnerabilities they were talking about. So, okay. The SIO was requested due to other officers being unavailable to jointly undertake the press conference on the 15th. So that's Becky Smith. Despite the operational need, the choice to use the SIO in this way was not in line with the College of Policing and was contrary to the judgment of the SIO. So she didn't even want to be there. This was a significant request considering the substantial operational activities being undertaken by the SIO at the time. The wider community and engagement activities relating to this investigation is considered later in this report. All right, so we're on to media oversight. So we'll start there tomorrow. There's just a couple of things I want to chat about quickly. I know I've been on this live stream now for 2.5 hours, but if you're sticking with me, then yeah, I can answer a couple of these questions because I've got the footage. Okay. So in relation to Peter, please do go and watch episode 2 because we go through the entire truth about Peter. So just for those who haven't been watching the chat and you're just listening, because I very often listen to lives and never even look at the chat while the live's ongoing, I will just say that Peter claims now in the media that he found a body on the 7th of February, which was the Tuesday. That was the day after I was there in St. Michael's on Wire. And this is the footage that I took from then of one of Peter's colleagues. Okay, so this is one of Peter's colleagues. There you can see the SGI van right there. Okay, in Penny's front yard. And then I walked by and heard Peter's colleague saying they believe she's gone over the weir. She'd already passed the weir, which is about, I don't know, maybe 400 yards from the bench. There's the weir right there. The colleague of Peter, I turned round and went to listen to what this dude was saying. And let's play it. Okay.
In dispute before 9 minutes. It may be that we then get touched up burst those levels and then high frequency beyond being down to again, discussing because we did a walk around this morning and we had that's at home.
So the audio is really bad. I've tried to clean up this audio a little, but with much lack of success because I'm not an audio expert. But just the sound of the river because it's right near the weir, plus the farm sounds like sheep baaing of the sheeple. That's you guys who are sheeple baaing in the background. It was difficult, but he was saying to these media people, he was saying something about they're going to use high frequency sonar further down the river because they believe that she passed the weir. This is at 3:30 p.m. on the 6th. Okay, this is the day that SGI arrived. So they did a walk around, and then wherever Peter was, I've no idea. I didn't see Peter. Okay, but he met with the chief inspector at 6 o'clock and signed his NDA, which then he's now saying he never signed. Okay, all right. So the day after this happened, that's when he allegedly found the body. Okay, do you think at the time, if he'd really truly believed that he'd found a body, he wouldn't have been crowing about that in the media? Do you think? Do you think? All right. Okay. Okay. Let's carry on here.
Thinking, all I've got into me is what you guys are saying in the news, what dreaded social media is saying. You miss it, you get the local person that actually fishes here, they've done all this life, knows what gets called where. We walked around that, we looked at the upstream bit and different theories that we concocted, however abstract any.
So different theories that they concocted, right? They concocted some theories during their walk around.
Based on all sorts of jobs. I found the phone, it's bound to be a dog walker, it's not this It is, but I haven't done,
So the point I'm making here, even though if there's anybody who is good at audio correction, if you want this file, you are very welcome. You can have it if you want to try and tidy that up. But basically, what he said was they believed during their walk around that she'd passed the weir, although they've concocted theories based on what they've heard and stuff, and all the social media that was out there at the time. And he's kind of just shrugged his shoulders, and they were going to use high frequency sonar further down the river. Okay, so they did go further down the river. Apparently they went as far as Cartford Bridge, which is about 3 miles away, so sailed right by the place where Nicola was found. But that doesn't mean to say that Nicola was there at that spot when they went by there. She could have got there like at some point later. But the diver that went down when Peter reported this finding, that area is very close to the bench. I'll show you exactly where it is with a different piece of footage. Okay. Let me just find it. Okay. I think you can see it on... Actually, the Mare one's better. Yeah, you can see it on this one. You can see it on this one. Okay. No, actually, the March one's better. Please hold. Okay. Gate test. Yeah, I'll do this one. All right. Right there. Okay. right there. Can you see my arrow? I don't know whether you can see my arrow. Yeah, you can. There. Okay. That's the alleged island, which is actually just a tree. Okay. So that is where Peter thinks there was a body right there. So bench is right here. Okay, so Peter thought there was a body there on the 7th of February. So he had to wait for a diver to come. And this area around this bench had been extensively searched. And that very area there had been searched on 2 previous occasions. So therefore, when Peter reported this finding, that was the 3rd time that area had been searched by divers. So diver went down and cleared it, as it was as not a body right there. And maybe in a couple of hours, I'm just thinking out loud here, maybe in a couple of hours that Peter had to wait for a diver, the body got up, walked off, and went and buried itself in the woods. Because then the day after, Peter decided to take a spade into the woods and inform the family that he thinks he found a site where a body was buried because it was recently disturbed earth. So the police stopped him from digging up the woods and said that this area had already been searched and this was not an area where there was recently disturbed earth. And then all the while was going on the media saying that he didn't think she was in the river. So I don't know what to tell you. And then as part of this review, this very review, the College of Policing review, 2 independent experts, 2 scientists, reviewed Peter's sonar scans and concluded that they did not show a body. Okay. No, serial boomer, no. No, I'm sorry. No. The body is not going to just jump up and scoot away in the 2 hours. If that's what Peter's saying, if that's what is making Peter feel better, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. If the body was tangled in tree branches at that spot, it's not going to just jump up and swim away. No. Okay. Final thing I want to say is about Willow. So Rebecca Smith was asked a question about Willow. And why was Willow running between the bench and the gate rather than the bench and the river? Well, that reporter who suggested that has probably watched too many Lassie movies when they were a child. Okay, because what Willow would have done was ran to that gate when she heard someone coming, sadly, because she thought that person was going to come and help. And unfortunately, they didn't. All they did was tie her up. Okay. And Rebecca Smith did rightly say, though, that Willow could have got under that gate. So if Nicola had been taken away from that gate, through that gate, Willow would have just followed. So this gives me the opportunity to play the gate test video once more. Here we go. Bench, we are going to do a Cassie test. Can Cassie follow me through that gate? So we're going to do what happened, how Nicola's things were found. So That's standing in for harness and lead, part way down the embankment. That's the phone on the bench. And we're going to tell Cassie to stay. We're going to see if she can get through the gate. Stay, 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 stay. Go on, go on. No. Stay, no. Cassie, this way, Cassie, this way. Can you imagine if someone was trying to kidnap me through this gate? Can you imagine? Hi, Cassie. Oh, wow. There you go. Well, that was a quick video. That was a quick video, wasn't it? Shall we do it again? Should we do it one more time? Stay. Straight to the style. Boom! Yeah, boom. So, Springer Spaniels. Cassie's the same breed as Willow. Springer Spaniels are quite, they can be a little bit anxious. They attach to one human generally. And if that human goes away, they'll do everything in their power to follow them. And that's what Willow would have done. And that's what I spent a very long time saying. And doing experiments to prove it. So, yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to go. Now. Yeah, it was exactly the same in the Kylie Rodney case. You know, Kylie Rodney's was slightly more complex because there was a party. And, you know, that case was marred by friends getting involved and speaking out and looking very suspicious. And, yeah, that was difficult. That was a more difficult case to cover. But it became very clear once that footage came out from the camera, from the fire camera, it was absolutely obvious what had happened. It did take longer, though. It did take longer to work out what had happened in that case. But this case was very straightforward. River right there. It's 15 feet deep in the middle. It's got jagged rocks at the edge. Willow's right there. The phone's right there. The lead and the harness are right there. And Nicola isn't there. Where's Nicola? She's in the river. All right. I'm going to go. I'll be back tomorrow, same time. We're starting at page 59. 59. All right. So we're going to finish chapter 2. And then chapter 3 is about communication. So I think it's more of the same. Okay. Communications, media narrative. Okay. So it's all about the media tomorrow. All right. Okay. So thanks for tuning in. All opinions welcome here, as long as you're not disrespectful. I think we had a good discussion there. I know it's a lot of me reading, but yeah. So I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for the donations, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, guys.